18, I was moving in to my dad's house at the time. And it was a strenuous situation because the basic principle of it was, growing up, I was not allowed to have a lot of things. Like, if I wanted to do anything with money, it always had to be like a charity or for the church or something along the lines where I'm donating my money. I wasn't allowed to have a bank account if I got a job, which I was working on because, I was 18, I wanted to be able to support myself. I was going to go to college. I started my first semester at my local community college, but things were just getting really, really tense. On top of that too, Marissa and I were in our situationship, and my family was very disapproving of that. And it was at the point where basically, and rightfully so, pretty much everyone around me was like, you were putting yourself in a really crappy situation, and you've got to get yourself out. Marissa was the most vocal on that front. And it's not like a negative thing. Like, she pretty much said, like, look, I love you, but you've got to take care of yourself. You've got to do what you need to, and I don't want to see you keep getting hurt. And there's a point where this is a normal thing. Yeah. And there was a point where she couldn't handle me and my shit on top of her shit, which was also really, really bad. So pretty much, there was a choice I had to make. I move out, or I lose my friends, I lose more people in my life. And it was also at a point where I was considering actually committing suicide, because it was that kind of bad. It was at that point where I was on the phone with my aunt every day. And I know that's not really the thing you say on YouTube, but fuck it, I don't really care. That's just the reality of it, and I'm not gonna try to censor myself and baby it down. This is real life. But yeah, that was where I was at, because it was that stressful being in that situation with my family, because they would not let me live and exist. So I moved in with my dad. Now, as I've mentioned in the past, things were not always the greatest with my dad growing up. I won't go into too much specifics on that. I've talked about it on the podcast, but essentially, because of the sort of unresolved feelings with my dad that I had, and the fact that he just come back into my life and shit, it was a lot on me, to the point where my stress was stupidly high. I was also in my first year in college, and I was also having a job, and I was also doing YouTube, and I was trying to figure out myself and what I wanted, and I was managing money for everything kind of just was insane. It was absolutely fucking bonkers. And then inevitably, I started getting stomach pains. I went to my doctor. He said, this is normal, whatever, don't worry too much about it. But then it kept happening. And inevitably, what happened was I went and saw a bunch of different specialists. The stomach pains were just getting worse and worse and worse. I was leaving classes. I could not function properly, to the point that a month into my new job, 2 months into my first job, I should say, 2 months into my first semester of college, and about 3 or 4 months into living with my dad, I went into the hospital. Not because of the stress, but because during one of the specialist visits, I had a discovery, or they had a discovery, I should say. You know what I fucking mean. They had discovered that there was a blep in my lung, which basically meant that it was losing oxygen. Now, luckily, they had caught it. They had told me I could have lost 3/4 of the function of my lungs before I would have actually noticed. And I was in the hospital. It was fine. The hospital that I'm near is good. I was born in that hospital, so I trust it. But I was on oxygen. I got high as fuck from being on that oxygen. So high, I was singing Pirates of the Caribbean in the elevator. And when I got in the elevator, I was singing elevator music, because I didn't want to sing the Pirates of the Caribbean song until I was moving again, which is one of my favorite things about that story. And it's why I look back on it so fondly. And I called my job and I'm like, hey, I'm not going to be able to make it into work tomorrow. I'm in the hospital. My lung is collapsing. And they're like, oh yeah, that's fine. Don't worry about it. So they fixed it. Went to go see my doctor again. And they said, okay, you're all good. You're all fine. I said, what was with the stomach aches? And they're like, probably just residual stress. I'm like, thanks, doc. I have to see this doctor my entire life. This is the doctor that I've had my entire life. And I'm like, bro, really? Really, man? So yeah, that was my time I was in the hospital. Obviously, things went well. Because my dad are cool. We're chill. We're cool like that. you know. But yeah, that was my hospital visit, where my lung nearly collapsed on me, or it was starting to collapse on me, I should say.